Every club.
Every day.
The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Daily Newcastle podcast. Again, I think my last 3 episodes have been with the same 2 guests, which is obviously Nic and Jo, and every single time we start to record, we end up just laughing at absolute rubbish. So, yes, I'm joined by Nic and Jo. Welcome to the Daily Newcastle podcast. I should really call it Daily Newcastle Raw because we're not going in with any kind of talking points or any prep. The news at the minute, you guys will listen to this and it'll probably still be news, is Cesco. There's a bid from Man United. It's a little bit lower than ours. And it's now looking like you might be favouring Man U. I say now, but if you remember, girls, the last time we were on, when we were speaking, he was favouring Man U all the way back then, before any bids were put in. So actually, the story hasn't really changed other than we made a bid first. But anyway, since it is a raw kind of going to be an unedited version of this kind of style, see if people like it. I'm going to go to Jo first because Jo's the emotional reactor. We've discovered that this is like part 3 of our. We've got like a 3-part monologue, like therapy in number 1, positivity in number 2, and this one's just going to be raw. So, Jo, how are you feeling? Cesco, is he going to come? Is he not going to arrive on Tyneside? Where's he going? What's happening? Jo?
Where they go now?
Well, considering just literally a couple of minutes before we came on the pod, we're hearing news that we put in this improved bid, which was like more than Leipzig even wanted. Then Man U have come in now, which is what we've just heard, literally a couple of million less. Apparently favours Man U. Now he's going to go to Man U. I mean, this summer is just mint on all levels. There's my raw emotion. I am absolutely dog-ass tired of this summer. And that's put it so mildly. I had to stop myself there. Yeah, man, it's just don't swear. It's frustrating, man.
Well, I thought it was raw and edited. I might have to edit that. Anyway, Jo's clearly give us the reaction I wanted in terms of emotion. Nic was singing along while she was doing it, so I don't know if Nic's in a happier mood, but what are you thinking, Nic?
Such a joke. Yeah, I've got no. I put on Twitter this afternoon actually, and it's got quite a bit of a reaction. But I don't understand why a player would be choosing currently Manchester United over us. I don't get it. I don't don't care if it's about the money either, because obviously I do care if it's about the money.
I think we would match the money now. I think the owners are desperate to get Cesco.
Our bid is technically higher, 5 million higher, I think, if in the grand scheme of things. I mean, yeah, okay, he'll probably argue it's not that much difference, but I'm like, well, it's different for everyone else that bids higher. So I don't understand it. I'm a little bit bored and a bit sick of Newcastle constantly being used as like what's the right word here? I don't know. A bit of clout, maybe. I don't know. It's probably not the right word at all, but I'm just a bit bored of it. It's a story of every summer for the last maybe year or 2. Oh, potentially Newcastle, we're going to get this player. Haha, no joking. Liverpool, Man United, whoever else has come and got him. Just a little bit annoying. I'm a bit frustrated. And I know people keep saying, well, if they're going to choose that club over us, we don't want them anyway. But we're kind of at a point now where we're a little bit desperate. So, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with kind of both sides, but I'm less agitated about it. I don't know why. Again, it's always me bringing the horrible positivity, which people hate to hear. But for me, it is frustrating because I would love Cesco at Newcastle, of course I would. But a little bit what Nic said at the end, which if he doesn't want to be here, then get gone. And the second part is the next striker we go for, there's even less clubs to come in for him, so we might actually get one eventually. There's lots happening. I think personally, I'll get your opinion on this. Are we not trying to run before we can walk with this whole rivaling players like Cesco and Pedro and Mbwemo? Are we not going too big too fast? Like, this is only our second Champions League campaign coming up in 20 odd years. Other teams are going to pick. I know Man United's a bit of a weird one because they finished 16th, but teams like Chelsea, who we've lost out to, Liverpool, who we lost out to, Ekitike, they are going to rather join places like that. We lost out to Huijsen to Real Madrid. We were linked with him, I remember. So should we go for a lower calibre of player? And what I mean by that is someone like a Muniz from Fulham or even Ivan Nielsen from Bournemouth. Are these the type of players we should be targeting? We're probably definitely going to get them. But are we trying to run before we can walk? Are we going for the huge name players like Ekitike was in demand? Cesco's been in demand for years, by the way. This isn't the first time Cesco's been linked with a Premier League move. Should we be a little bit less ambitious? I know we want ambition and we want to see Newcastle be up there losing out to players to we lost out Real Madrid, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man U, and I think that's it, isn't it? I think so far. I might have forgot somebody, but we've lost out to big teams. Trafford, Man City, yeah. So we're losing out to the teams who have been in the Champions League regularly for a long time, other than maybe Man U. But let's face it, Man U are the biggest club in England. Should we be a little bit more realistic, Joe, is what I'm trying to say? Should we go for the likes of Rodrigo Muniz from Fulham? Should we try and get players like that rather than these huge name players with this? Because when you remember when we signed Isak, he wasn't a huge name player. We turned him into that, and that's why that one worked. Same with Tonali. He had a reputation, but we turned him into that. And Bruno was relatively unheard of until he came to us. So are we now kind of trying to be too big for our boots, do you think? Or am I just talking a whole lot of rubbish?
No, I'm not going to call you out because you're talking a little bit of sense.
A little bit.
I got to give you something. No, but in all seriousness, I absolutely see where you're coming from. And yes, I'm not saying we shouldn't go for players like Muniz, by the way. Running before we walk is a frustrating one for me because all we've ever had is talk of progression and getting better and building squads. And this is the owners talking, by the way. So it's not even like it's us as the fans, because people are like, oh, Newcastle fans are so deluded to think they can just have who they want. Well, no, actually, what we've probably bought into a bit too much is how much our owners have hyped up, how big they're going to build us and how great they're going to make us. And me being, as you say, the over-emotional fan, I've fell for it hook, line and sinker, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I mean, yes and no is my kind of argument with that one, because some players I think we should have went in for, some we didn't stand a chance, and no, I do not think we can compete with the likes of Liverpool. So don't worry, I'm not that kind of deluded as some will call us. But to be losing out to Man U over Cesco, and yes, all right, Man U are the biggest club in England.
They are. I know they're rubbish at the minute, but they are the biggest club in England.
Yeah, it's just like what we can offer in our project moving forward. Maybe Man U are telling them something different. Maybe Man U are paying them more, or maybe Man U are fully living on their name, which a lot of people do. So I don't know what it is. We'll never know, because again, it's just all of us fans speculating, and there'll be other fans speculating against us as well. So yeah, so I'm just right on the fence with what you've just said, I'll be honest, because it's a yes and no answer.
What I mean is with Man United is, I get they didn't perform as well as us and was no, but their legacy is absolutely the players who have paid for them and an opportunity to go there. I can understand why any player, not just Sesko, might want to go there. But I'm going to come to Nick as well, but I'm just going to throw in the players, like when I'm talking about Muniz, this could be like anybody. This could be a Jack Hinchelwood from Brighton. This could be players like that who fans aren't going to be massively happy about. Well, we're in the Champions League. What we're signing Rodrigo Muniz for to replace Alexander Isak? Well, because actually we don't have the legacy Man United and Liverpool have, and we don't have the success Man City, Chelsea have in the last 10 years. So that's the reason why. How do you feel about it, Nick? Are we being a little bit too ambitious here or not?
My question back to that is, why shouldn't we be ambitious?
Because we haven't got the legacy and the success of the other clubs who are going in for these players, have we? Let's be honest.
I would disagree partly with your statement. We haven't got the success, which I completely agree with. Okay, let me just.
We haven't got the legacy.
Okay, I agree with your statement of we haven't got the success. Obviously, we haven't got the success. We know that as lifelong Newcastle fans. But as a club, I think we've got. I think we've got a lot to offer and a lot of history and people who get it. And I'm talking about players who get it. You have players from opposition teams talk about how much of a like a hostile place it is to play because of the passion and the energy and how much the team love the team and et cetera, et cetera. So I do disagree with your statement in a fact of we haven't got the legacy, maybe the legacy you're talking about. Okay, yes, we haven't, but we have our own, and I think we've got like our own history and our own positives. So to me, I will never, and you guys are going to disagree, but I mean, maybe it's just because I just don't like them. But at this current moment in time, I can understand we're losing out to players such as Liverpool and Man City, I guess, at the moment, obviously until they get found guilty. So I can understand. So I can understand that. But I'm even going to chuck Chelsea in the same bucket as Man United. Okay, they had a better season than Man United, but I will not understand why players are choosing them teams over the likes of us, because you're signing up for Chelsea on about a 15-year flipping contract because they've got the money to splash at it, and that's how they're getting away with bending the rules. You're inevitably signing your career away because you're going to sit on the bench. So I don't get that. Man United, they can chuck all the money they want at the players, but they are not the club that they once were. And that is going to take years and years of rebuilding. They're aware of that. They know that. So to answer your question, mate, I don't understand why we shouldn't be going for the bigger players. That's not me disagreeing in the fact that, like the players that you mentioned, we can go for them, but we obviously don't want them. The team, whoever it is that's going off, obviously for the transfers and the players, they obviously are not looking at these players for a reason, and that's okay.
I think we are being ambitious, which is good. But like at Chelsea again, they finished above us last season. That was only 3 points, but they were fourth and we were fifth. So again, if you are a Pedro or somebody like that, and you're looking at, well, Chelsea finished above Newcastle. History-wise, Chelsea have got Newcastle. Legacy-wise, Chelsea have got Newcastle. And I think it's just a bit of realism needed. I think I love that we're being ambitious. I was so excited about the thought of Ekitike. I'm so excited about the thought of Cesco. It could still happen. I'm not completely ruling it out. I'm really excited at these players, but I just think if we want players in the door, we're going to have to disappoint fans in a different way. Shock horror. And that is get the case of people like Muniz or people like, I don't know, Hinchell. Well, I'm just chucking them out there because it's all I can think of, where I would be really happy with them two players personally, but I don't think Newcastle fans in the Champions League for the second time in 20 years will be thinking, we're in the Champions League, who we're going to sign? Rodrigo Muniz. And it'll be like, oh, what? That's a bit flat. Whereas I think the club are trying to have that ambition, which I think is brilliant, but I just think we've got to maybe start looking at the next level down. We are going to go to an advert because we're almost halfway through. And in the second half, I'm going to try and compare who we're going with now to kind of what Manchester City did. I think with Manchester City's kind of progression, we're in the likes of Elano and Martin Petrov phase, where we've had the Brunos and Gordons who were necessarily not really wanted by the big clubs. How do what Man City do in terms of getting likes of Aguero? He would be our Cesco, wouldn't he? So we're going to talk about that in the second part after a very, very quick advert.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Lovely stuff. So, like I say, we're going to look into kind of where we're at in terms of who we should be targeting and what we should be doing. And we might not be being too ambitious. I might be talking a whole load of rubbish, and we should be going for these players and rivaling with teams with a greater legacy and a greater success historically. Right, Man City, for a long time, had players like Richard Dunn, signed players like Elano, who was very good, scored a worldly free kick against Newcastle. Martin Petrov, who was a very good Premier League winger, but wasn't kind of at the level of a David Silvers, who we ended up with eventually. So to win that league title, they had players like Balotelli. Aguero came in out of nowhere. Well, after Atletico Madrid, he had a reputation, but it was a big signing at the time. That's where we are now. We now need that big signing. So how do we get it over the line? We've obviously tried a lot this summer. Every Newcastle fan's frustrated. How do we do it? Do we start? I think there's two options, but I'm going to come to you guys and give you complete freedom on how you think we get or secure a huge name signing. I mean, an option is you go for someone like, and he's again, someone like a Samu from Porto, who is known, there's awareness of him, but he's a gamble to other clubs. Samu almost signed for Chelsea 2 years ago, but they pulled out because they weren't 100% sure on if he had what it took to be a £50 million signing. So do we go for players like that, gamble, and let Eddie get the best out of him? Or do we go down the route of signing proven Premier League players, like I mentioned, Muniz or Ivan Nielsen from Bournemouth, and just letting them thrive in the Premier League? Another one be Justin Kluivert was linked before the end of last season. That's gone away now, and our kind of ambition has went from Justin Kluivert, who I think would be a good signing, and not many other big clubs would rival us for him, and he would come to us, to going for likes of Sesko, who is classed as like the next Haaland or the next big name. So how do we do it then? Let's try and offer some sort of, do we approach Golden Gem? Do we go abroad? Do we go Europe? Do we go Italy? Do we stay in England? Do we bring the academy through? Do we do what Barcelona did and pump lots of money into kind of their youth setup and just wait 3 or 4 years? Do Newcastle fans have the patience for that? Probably not. So let's see where we're going. I'm going to go to Joe first because it looks like the brain's working, and then I'm going to see if Nick's got any genius ideas. I think academy would be a great route, but it's tough.
Well, oddly enough, I was going to say, like, I was watching something earlier on about the fact that we are building for the future and we have brought a lot of young, talented people in. And to be fair, that's what we keep seeing, don't we? When they see people moaning on social media going, oh, wonderful, another 17-year-old or whatever. But we have to remember that is building for the future and we could have a really, really bright future. Obviously, it's yet to be seen. We don't know how these players are going to develop. That in itself is risky, I suppose, because again, any of these players could turn out to be absolute gems, or they could turn out to be absolute flops, and we end up, selling them on for a figure of God knows what. I'll be honest, I've had myself a little couple of minutes settle down while you've been chatting, because I've had my little moan, haven't I?
Go back to Sesko if you want to get the sensible Joe back in rather than emotional.
It's probably best, Kev, that we don't. So no, in reality, I don't think the frustration is coming from the fact that we're losing out on big name players over and over again. I think it's more the frustration that we are now losing more players than we're bringing in, full stop. And I think this is where this summer's coming from. We have already lost more players than we've brought in. That's just simple as that. If we then lose Isaac, no matter how we feel about him, obviously we don't feel very much positivity about him, but the point is, not only, well, shut up you, because we're not talking about you anymore. Nick, I'm talking to you. So what I'm saying is, we're not feeling very positive about, obviously, the Isaac situation, naturally. But again, go back, the point is, we're losing with talent. So it's not even that we're gaining big names. We're not even retaining the damn talent that we've got, that we've built, that you even said we turned into something, Isaac, for example, or Tonali. I know we're not losing Tonali, by the way. But the point is, if we're not even going to retain the ones that we've already brought in and developed, that's where the frustration's stemming from, I'm not going to lie. I think the fact that we're not bringing anyone in on top of this, it's just feeding it and adding to it. And I don't think anyone can look at our summer and think it's been anything other than a mess. I mean, look at the way we're talked about on Talk Sport. I agree with them. I hate agreeing with a lot of them idiots, but never mind. The way Shira was saying, it's been an absolute disaster. I feel so sorry for Hal, man. I really do. I just think this summer has been exactly the opposite of what he expected as well. So even though I promised I wasn't going to tangent, I've just done it. So that's my kind of answer to that one.
Fair play.
At the end.
How do we fix it? Well, because you're right, we have missed out on players. I think it has been tough, but there has to be a way to compete. There has to be. We have to find a way. We can't just give up. And
no, we're not.
We either lower our ambitions and go for the likes of Fulham strikers, no disrespect to Fulham, or Palace strikers. We start up Larson from Wolves. We start going for them type of players who the fans are going to probably moan about until they bang loads of goals anyway. Or we keep being ambitious and find a way to just completely, I don't know, take the hit with PSR. We start paying players 300 grand a week. I have no idea what the right answer is. There's options. There's definitely options, and the club will be aware of that. And you're right, How will be disappointed, but I think the club, they're getting a hard time, and I can argue rightly so. I think anybody could argue rightly so, but they have tried. It's not like we've just sat there and thought, well, we're not going to go for him. We're not going to go for him. We can't bring him in because he's not the name we want. We're not even going to make. We've made 2 club record bids for 2 different players. When we haven't got the legacy of the competition, what we spoke about in part 1. But Nick, how do we fix it? Do we just break PSR rules? Do we start lowering our standards? What's happening? Come on, Nick, blow us away.
Well, everyone else gets away with it, so why can't we? Because you know what's going to happen. But the thing is, I go back on that word because we'll be the first club that does it, and then we'll get relegated by about 5 leagues, and we'll end up in Conference League 1 or something. The thing is, you're sitting there saying, "Oh, do we just have less ambition and go for players in the Premier League and English?" We've done it. We've done that. We actually have bidded for English, but we've bidded for James Trafford. The minute Man City come in, see you later. And I know you're going to sit there and say he's a popular name. He is a popular name, but ironically, we were the only one that was linked with him. So until Man City were like, haha, last day, we're going to bid. So we lost him.
Buyback clause, wasn't it?
Yeah, don't care. I actually don't care. Like, it's other clubs taking the...
It's relevant, though. It is the buyback clause is relevant. That's why we lost out to him. It's not that the club didn't try. Man City had a buyback clause. We got him for cheaper. Fair play, clever business by Man City. If we were doing that with a player we let go from our academy, we'd be sat here laughing. So I know it's frustrating for Newcastle, but it's very relevant in terms of, well, it was a buyback clause. Why he went to Man City?
I'm not going to win this argument, am I?
You can try.
Nick is too positive for us. Is the problem?
Doesn't ever agree with me ever.
What?
I'm just.
I do agree with Nick a lot, actually, but just not on the pod.
Never on the pod. I know. Listen, this is a really poor example because I kind of get it, but Mark Gahey, that whole debacle last summer, and apparently we're linked with him again. It's like, how long is it going to go on for? It's just so boring. And then we're going for these abroad players in Europe. They don't want us. So the problem for me stems a lot higher than the club. It does stem to, I think, the Premier League's rules are. I'm trying really hard not to swear. I am trying
No,
my
you're right about
absolute
that.
hardest. But
We've
the
been done with that.
Premier League rules, we can have. Look at last season. We can have a great season last season. Finishing a Champions League spot, win a trophy and all that. I'm sorry, the Premier League does not suit clubs like Newcastle and other than the top six, even though you can barely argue the Man United top six, because
Top
it just doesn't
five.
work for us. It's screwing teams over, and inevitably teams are just. I'm sorry. I think we're seeing the benefit. I think we are not the benefits. We're now seeing the repercussions of it. We're suffering. We're suffering. We can't do anything. We physically can't do anything. And unfortunately, for a club like Newcastle that is owned by Saudi Arabians, we will always be on people's radar of breaking the flipping rules. So I think our club are very conscious of that and are very, and just being a bit too careful. But if it was me in charge of it, I'd be like, F it, we're doing it. We need something. Otherwise, we're not going to go down, but we're going to suffer bad. We are going
Yeah.
to suffer bad. The team that we've got right now, there's no way that they can. What is it? At least 42 games, 46,
Yeah, something like that. 46, I think.
something like that. 46 is at least. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah.
No, you've
I
got
think
more.
you bang on about rules, to be fair. The rules for where we are at the minute is stopping any club like Villa. Villa had a good season last season and they were in our position where they just couldn't really progress. And we're in it now. But the rules, the PSR rules are just so anti-competition. Really, it's these are the Grade 6 clubs. I don't know how we came up with how Tottenham are in a Grade 6 club, and the teams who finished 17th and 16th last season are classed as a Big 6 club. There was no way of catching them, it seems, and it is very frustrating, and I get that. And I think you bang on. I think until the rules change, we have to be very, very clever, and we have to be very smart in terms of how we do it. Like Joe said before about future-proofing, buying these young players who we're probably not going to see fulfill the potential for at least another 3, 4, 5 years can also add to the frustration of Newcastle fans. So I think I would love to see the club, in Nick's words, go effort and just go massive. I would absolutely love to see it. We win about 3 or 4 leagues, Champions League, just spend 100 billion every single transfer window and just take everybody and, I don't know, take Erling Haaland and just put him in the 21s just to really pee people off. We're rich enough to do that, aren't we? But we can't. I think the part which I struggle with at the minute, and I get it's frustrating and it's really disappointing, but I genuinely think the club are getting too much of a hard time. They are genuinely trying. Like I say, 2 club record bids for 2 separate players. On top of that, they've tried to get Trafford, Pedro, Huyson was linked, Zabani was linked from Bournemouth. They must have been working tirelessly. They must be sat there now, absolutely knackered, thinking, what do we need to do to deliver the success we want? I think the club are working very hard, and I see a lot of rubbish online again. I do need to completely switch off from it. I follow like 3 pages. Oh, it was better when we had the previous owner. At least we didn't have any hope. At least we didn't have this and all that rubbish. And I get it's frustrating, but I still think, look, there's how many days left? 25, 26 days left of a window. I'm not saying we're going to have a fantastic window, and I think overall it's going to be very hard to see this window as a positive, but we can still kind of rescue it if we get 1 or 2 strikers in a midfielder. Maybe that's what we need, because we have lost Longstaff. Wilson looks like he's probably not going to be there. Dubravka's going to Burnley, but I mean, we've got about 14 goalkeepers anyway, so I don't think that's too much of a worry.
Well, that was the point of Ramsdale coming in anyway, wasn't it? And
yeah, I think Ramsdale's a good signing, and I think Elanga's a great signing. We just need that big marquee. If I go back to comparing to Man City, we need that Aguero, even Balotelli. I know Balotelli kind of flopped really, but he was a big name, wasn't he? He was a young lad at Inter Milan, massive future. He was exciting for Man City. We're at that stage now, but like I think Nick's hit the nail on the head, which most Newcastle fans know, to be honest. See, Nick, I am agreeing with you. Is the PSR rules are very, very hard to compete with, but that's why I think the club need to be cleverer in terms of maybe not lowering ambition. I think we should always aim for top 4, top 5, whatever it is, and we should always aim to win trophies. But I just think transfer target wise, I think we've probably got to stay away from the next Wonder Kid or the next Haaland. I think it's too much for us at the minute. I think a Fulham striker or a Wolves striker would be perfect for where we're at now. But are the club going to kind of back down on that? Because we've clearly got very high standards. Look, the players we missed out on.
The thing is, the board that
on.
you've just said, I don't blame the board in any of this kind of moaning or kicking off that we have done. At no point, by the way, do I blame the board. All the frustrations coming from the sheer fact that, Jesus Christ, we've just put in a bigger bid than someone else and we could still lose out. There's the frustration, you know what I mean? So I'm not blaming the board at all. They're doing everything they possibly can. What more do you want them to do? Stick another 20 million on top just to try and secure it? You know what I mean? It's not going to happen.
I think the club are doing brilliantly. I agree. I know it sounds stupid saying the club are doing brilliantly, right? Because everyone's frustrated. But we are genuinely trying to sign players, and it's just not, for whatever reason. That's why I asked the question in part one. Is it the legacy? Is it the
thing? Yeah.
We have no idea what it is. Only the players know, really. I guess my last question before we end this episode, because this has been a good therapy session probably for you too. I'm still feeling really positive, weirdly. How do we rescue then? It's not going to be fully rescued. We're never going to come out here thinking it's a fantastic window. What do you want to see now? Just don't give me specific players. That's almost impossible. But how many strikers, a midfielder, defender, goalkeeper? We don't need a goalkeeper, but what would rescue this for you guys? So between August 5th or August 6th, as people listen to this, to the window closing, how many players would you be happy with? Realistically, we're not going to get 6, are we? But how many players would you be happy with in what positions? What you want? And I'll go to Nick first because Jo looks like she's struggling to finish this episode. Come on, Nick.
I'll be happy with flipping one at this point. No, I'm joking.
No?
What we got? 4 weeks. I would 4. I'd like to see 4, but
signing a week.
Quite high.
What positions? What positions do you want to see?
We obviously need a striker. Obviously, goes without. Oh, actually, no, 3 because we've signed a goalkeeper. Sorry, 3. I forgot about Ramsdale.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, poor Ramsdale.
Poor Aaron. I would go for obviously a striker. Would I want 2? Striker. I'm going to say 1. I would like a centre half. Centre half, and centre back.
Okay, so 2 centre backs and 2 centre backs and a striker. That would leave us with 4 fit midfielders going into the season. Jo?
So preferably, I want 5, but an absolute bare minimum of 3. And my 3 would be straight down the middle. Centre back, in the middle, striker. What I really want to see is centre back, 2 in the middle, 2 up front.
For 5 in the next 4 weeks. That'll be working hard.
That's what we need, though. Especially if we're selling Isaac. If we don't sell Isaac, just 1 more striker then.
We do need 1 more striker.
If we sell Isaac, it's got to be 2. So,
yeah, I agree. If Isaac stays, just 1, but if he goes 2 is probably bare minimum. If Isaac does go, and we are talking about PSR holding us back, we wouldn't be held back anymore for at least, a year or 2? I'm making it up, but we could get a little bit of spending power, but you have to replace him, like you have said. I think for me personally, I probably agree with Jo. The bare minimum is 3 right down the middle, 1 more centre midfielder, 1 more centre half, and a striker. If Isaac stays, I think if Isaac goes, you've then got to get 2. But I would love to see us get 5. I'd love to see 2 midfielders, 2 strikers, and 1 centre half. But it can't just be anybody. It can't just be bringing people in for the sake of it. I know that's not what Newcastle fans want to hear, or not what they want to hear, but we just completely disagree with us. But we need the right personality, which it looks like a lot of these players who have turned us down to go elsewhere maybe don't have, or it might be harsh on them. We just might be getting a lot more money. Who doesn't want more money? And on that note, subscribe and like and all that stuff.
Pay us.
Bring it in.
Please.
But I think the club are trying, and that's what keeps us positive now. We haven't just sat back and tried to not sign anybody. We are trying to rival these clubs. Yes, it's frustrating, but for me, I think we'll get 4 in. I really do think we'll get 4. I think it'll be 2 midfielders, 1 defender and 1 striker. That's what I think is going to happen. But I think Isaac will go as well. So I think we'll actually only have a Sula. Gordon is kind of a striker. He'll be maybe 3rd choice, 2nd choice striker. Will be Gordon through the middle. And then whoever comes in to replace Isaac will be the main guy up until January. You got to remember, if you can get Cesco might not come in. If you get Cesco in and he stays fit till January, you can then help him out and get a second player in if Isaac's gone. But it's all ifs and buts at the minute. But I guess I want to do this podcast kind of just as Newcastle fans talking, because I think that's kind of the best content at the minute. We can't guess where Cesco's going to go. We can't guess who we're going to go for next. We can't guess exactly what the prices are because nobody really knows. It's all just hearsay on who's bidding more. I think we probably have bid more, but by how much we don't know. But I think it's important to the message I wanted to get in this episode was the club are trying, and I feel like the club are getting a hard time in a minute, which sounds stupid because we've only signed 2 players, but there's still hope. It's hope that kills you, like, but there's still hope. So,
I'm just
Nick
scrolling Twitter.
Any updates, Nick, before we sign off?
No updates.
No updates.
Just that Fabrizio Morano obviously has said that Manchester United are again in direct contact, and Newcastle have demanded a final answer from player/club. United internally feel they have Cesco's preference. I can't cope with it.
Before we do sign off, imagine how much of a legend Cesco would be if he's the one who picks us and comes in and absolutely batters defenders next season and scores 20-odd goals. He could go down, and maybe I should be working for Newcastle United. I'll go and speak to Cesco and I'll tell him how he can be the guy who went against the grain, signed for the project, not the history. He signed for the future, not the tradition. And he's the one who came in and became the next Alan Shearer, stays there for 10 years, breaks his record, goes down in Premier League history, Newcastle United folklore, gets the keys to the city, wins Newcastle's first Premier League in years and fires us to glory. There's loads to be positive about, man. We just have to be a little bit more patient. I promise it'll get better. Can't believe I've just made that promise on a podcast. I'm dead on that. Anyway, tune in again tomorrow when there'll be less positive people on. not because we're negative, just because I'm clearly over positive.
Ian's on his own, I think.
I love Ian. Sorry, Ian, but it's true. I'm too positive to be a Newcastle fan. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. Let us know in the comments kind of what you would do. How do we bridge the gap? None of us know. We're not experts. We're not pretending to know. How do we bridge the gap? Bend the rules, says Nicola. Academy, says Joe. And I have no idea what the answer is, but let us know in the comments. It's been a pleasure.
Anything says Joe.
Anything says Joe. There's not emotional reaction. Right, I'm signing off. Tune in tomorrow. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you very much.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.